Live from the 607, it is the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Why don't you join in the conversation with the hashtag ODPH? Here we go. Happy New Year. Welcome to another edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. I am your host, Ken M. Sitting across from you this week is the one, the only, Padawan J.
Your clocks and your calendars may say 2019. I'm still the Locks and Leaps champ, baby.
Yeah, Pad locked it up. The 2018 Invitational is all said and done. We're going to break that down in a second. Coach Duffy is on assignment. We're not exactly sure where. We kind of lost track with him after the Notre Dame-Clemson game. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping to get in touch with him by the end of the show, but we'll have to wait and see about that.
Word is he's brushing up his resume for one of the many head coaching vacancies in the NFL.
Yeah, we're going to have to dive into the NFL drama that's been going on since Week 17 wrapped up. But first, we got to get into those locks and leaps, and I'll pass it over to the current reigning and defending champion.
As Paul Heyman would say, the reigning, defending, undisputed champ. We're going to start with my lock. Now, I want to asterisk. I chose the New Orleans Saints to beat the Carolina Panthers. I was doing said pick under the information belief that Drew Brees would be playing, not Teddy Bridgewater, in my defense. However, I did not choose right because the Carolina Panthers put a whooping on New Orleans, winning 33-14. They shut Cam Newton down for the year, which made sense. Kyle Allen got a bulk of the time starting at quarterback, 16 of 27, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns. Leading rusher was Cameron Artia-Payne with 16 carries for 56 yards, 1 touchdown. And then top receiver was DJ Moore, 4 catches for 81 yards and no touchdowns.
Yeah, this game, New Orleans had nothing to play for.
No, I mean you look at the New Orleans side of the statistics. Drew Brees didn't play. Alvin Kamara didn't play. I mean, some of their wide receivers, they were in there for a little bit, but it's 5 catches for Michael Thomas, 3 catches for Traquan Smith. Mark Ingram had 2 catches, so it's not like they're exactly lighting the ball up.
No, and they had nothing to play for, really. I mean, honestly, yeah, it's one thing to show up and play for the fans, and I get that. But honestly, I think New Orleans fans are more excited that they're going to be the number 1 seed for the NFC playoffs. Mm-hmm. And obviously, that is a much bigger thing going on than the regular season, Week 17, which really doesn't mean a lot. Unless, I would say the only person that really meant a lot to was Teddy Bridgewater, because that was the first time that he's got a real chance to play. And obviously, it seems that the Saints are grooming him to be the heir apparent for Drew Brees.
It would seem that way.
Which would be a great move for them, I think. Obviously, we talk about Father Time versus everybody, and he's still undefeated. How much years Drew Brees has left in the system, we don't know.
Yeah.
So, obviously, they got to kind of start thinking a backup plan, and Bridgewater is nothing to sneeze at there. And, obviously, the game was, it was pretty lopsided, I would say.
Yeah.
But, obviously, with the Saints not playing their starters, and obviously just trying to get through the game without any injuries, it made sense. And for Carolina, it's nothing to sneeze at either. Obviously, they want to go out on a winning note. And 7-9, not how the season want to end up. Ron Rivera did keep his job, so he's going to come back next season, which I think is the right move.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't the greatest year. I know everyone kind of had higher expectations for them this year, but I think overall, while it wasn't a great year, it was an okay year. They can come back from this.
Yeah, obviously. And I mean, they have a rising star in DJ Moore, who obviously next season is going to be a big name taken in fantasy football. Mm-hmm. Mark the tape right now. I had him as a sleeper pick this year, and he did me very well in my fantasy playoff run.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at his stats for this season. He had 55 catches on 82 targets for 788 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and he came on late in the year. So now with a full system, a full year, knowing the plays and knowing how Cam Newton's tendencies are, his stock is only going to rise. Christian McCaffrey is going to just be a bigger star next season too. I mean, Carolina is going to be a team to watch for next year. This year, they just had a lot of bad luck fall on them.
Right. I mean, side note, you're talking fantasy football and great wide receivers. Shout out to DeAndre Hopkins. 115 catches, no drops all year.
Ridiculous.
That's absurd. That's absurd.
Yes.
So shout out to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you pull off a stat like that, unheard of.
Especially since you got to figure some of the cornerbacks and safeties and defense he's going against. Where it's DeAndre Hopkins. It's not exactly Joe Blow, random wide receiver you never heard of. People know him. They know his repertoire. You know what you're going to get from him. They're covering him. They're double covering him. He's still catching.
Yeah. And DJ Moore could only try being like Hopkins,
Yes.
going down the road. Obviously, he's got a long way to go to catch up to Hopkins.
Yeah.
But still, this is just something for Carolina to look back, bringing it back to the game at hand. Carolina has a lot of stuff they can improve on next season. And obviously, if they can get Cam Newton some more weapons on offense to balance out, because Greg Olsen obviously has had his fair share of injuries.
Yep.
The wide receiver core, DJ Moore, is a star on the rise.
He's a start.
But he's got a long way to go. They obviously need some more help on that side of the ball, and the offensive line could probably just use a little tweaking here and there because Carolina was in most games this season, and then they just went on that bad losing streak.
Yep.
So it's going to be something to watch for next season.
Yep. Switching over to my leap, I won this one by the hair on my chinny chin chin, as one would say. Chose the Atlanta Falcons to defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Atlanta squeaked it out right at the end. 34-32 victory. 31 of 44 passing from Matt Ryan for 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tevin Coleman, 8 carries for 45 yards, 1 touchdown. Julio Jones, 9 catches, 138 yards, and 1 touchdown. Holy cow.
We talk about division games all the time. 34-32. You knew it was going to be a slugfest.
Yeah.
It obviously was. Tampa Bay, very disappointing this season.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, they finished with a 5-11 record overall and then 4-4 at home. So, I mean, good game from Jameis Winston, who they came out, Tampa Bay came out later and said that, earlier in the day, and said they're sticking with Jameis for the next year. I mean, he had a good day, 22 of 35, 345 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, it's a heck of a day and a heck of a game to have where your quarterback can throw for almost 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, and you lose.
Yeah, it's just one thing that when you get anytime you play division, no matter how bad the team is, they're going to step up for those games.
Yeah.
And that is just one that just is always going to be a heated rivalry. And for Atlanta, if you want to talk about disappointing seasons, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I don't understand when they have that much offensive weapons that they're not putting up 48 a game and running away with the NFC South.
Right, and you could tell owner Art Blank wasn't happy with how the season went for them, especially on the offensive side of the ball, considering if it was quote-unquote Black Monday, where they literally fired every coordinator they had, offensive, defensive, and special teams.
Yeah, I mean, it was just something, as we're going to get into a little later in the show, about how many NFL coaches are relieved of their duties. After this game, Tampa Bay's coach was the first one to be relieved of duties this season. So, I mean, it just goes to show that when you have all this talent on your team and you're not producing, the window of opportunity is very short in the NFL.
Yep.
And you have to either capitalize on it or you have to start all over. And obviously, with Atlanta firing every coordinator, that is definitely sending a message.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the wake-up call they need. I think it has to be.
You would think so.
Because I know they had their fair share of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And that happens. Not disputing that. But your offense was healthy for pretty much the most part.
Right.
A couple injuries here and there.
Couple bangs, couple nicks.
Yeah. But overall, like I said, they have all the talent in the world on the offensive side of the ball. They should be putting up 48 in a game.
Right.
In their sleep.
Right. I mean, you got Matt Ryan on the offensive side of the ball. He's not, a Madden superstar or creative character where it's perfect, perfect statistics or perfect ratings or whatever, but he's still a very good quarterback.
Yeah, and this is just very puzzling to me. And I know I've said this in previous episodes. It's just something that I don't understand. And like I said, for me, I'm still thinking they're haunted by the Super Bowl, which they shouldn't be at this point. The Super Bowl loss to the Patriots. But it's got to be something, and if this is the right idea to shake up the coordinators, maybe this is what it takes. Maybe. I mean, I'm not saying their head coach should be fired, but something's got to give.
Yeah.
If the franchise is going to move forward, because it's just when you are stagnant with the talent they have. It's not that they don't have playmakers. I can't stress this enough. But for some reason, they're not putting it together. Something's got to give.
I mean, it's Einstein's definition of insanity.
Yeah, straight up. I mean, that's point blank what it is. And like I said, for both Atlanta and Tampa Bay, they got to do some rebuilding this offseason. Tampa Bay has a lot more work to do, in my opinion.
I'd say so, yeah.
But overall, I mean, this is one great thing about the NFL is when every team is held to the same salary cap and the same, idea. I mean, there's more parity between teams. And the idea of the parity is what keeps every team involved, so it's not a runaway per se, for any division race.
Yep.
And every team has a shot going into the season.
Yeah.
So that being said, Coach Duffy, obviously we said, could not make it in this week. I'm actually going to cover one game that he was going to cover, and Sound Guy Galore JR was going to cover if he was going to make the show.
Yeah.
And that was Indianapolis and Tennessee.
Holy cow.
The winner gets in, the loser goes home.
Mm-hmm.
And this game, the Indianapolis Colts won 33-17.
I'll say they had their Wheaties for breakfast. They came ready to play.
Absolutely. I mean, this just goes to show what the job Frank Reich has done as head coach and really steering this team in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Luck threw for 285 and 3 touchdowns, and he really set the pace for the team.
I mean, they even had a great day on the ground. Marlon Mack, 25 carries, 119 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm sorry, I didn't even know who that man was before Sunday.
Right. The Colts took every advantage of Marcus Mariota not playing for Tennessee.
Yeah.
And they really forced Blake Gabbert to really beat him.
So they really put him outside his comfort zone.
Yeah, and Gabbert had a very difficult day, 165, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and he just kind of looked like he was just a little out of sync with the receivers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was a tough day for him. And Derrick Henry, they contained to 93 yards after he was been on just a runaway stat express.
So he was on a tear. He was, that man was eating like super Wheaties.
Yeah, he was running away on teams, and the Colts found a way to shut him down. And for them, this made sense. They're playing so solid right now, and I know we've talked about Patrick Mahomes in the MVP candidate race, Drew Brees in there. You can take your pick of a lot of players. Andrew Luck has to be in that talk. I'm not saying he's going to win, but he has to be in that talk. And just when he gets going and he's actually kept upright, he's not taking any sacks in that offensive line with Quentin Nelson, he's not getting pressured at all.
Sure.
He's getting enough time. And if you give somebody with the talent and skill level of Luck time to scan the defense, he's going to tear them apart.
Mm-hmm. Especially, you look at his receiving core. Dontrell Inman had a great game, 5 catches, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. T.Y. Hilton's obviously probably their biggest standout. I mean, he had 2 catches for 61 yards. They've also got Eric Ebron, who had 4 catches for 60 yards. So they've got targets there.
Yeah, they have a lot of weapons on that side of the ball. And when you have a good quarterback in Luck, who has potential to be great, I'm still not fully sold. I mean, because injuries have kind of held him back a little bit.
Yeah, he's had glimpses of being great.
When he's on, and he is downright scary.
Oh yeah.
So to see him clicking at the right time going into the playoffs, that's going to be saying something. I know they got Houston this weekend.
Yep.
That's going to be a heck of a game.
Oh, that's going to get loud.
And to think about it too, we're looking at division game and against another division foe.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the first time that they've played each other.
We'll say division game in Houston. That's going to get loud.
Oh yeah, Houston's going to show up for that one.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be definitely excited to play for that. And obviously, who knows what you're going to get? Because the playoffs, it's opening day. You have 4 quarters to make something happen.
It's take everything you knew about the season, toss it out the window, forget about it. Because you genuinely, it's like you see with any playoff game in any sport. You don't know what's going to happen.
No, you don't. And the Colts you almost want to say they're playing with house money because
a little bit.
They really weren't supposed to get in, but there was a lot of factors that went into play for them.
Yeah, a lot of the chips fell their way.
And obviously, when you get the chance to win and get in, they took full advantage of it.
It puts a lot of momentum in your sail.
Yeah, and take nothing away from Tennessee.
No,
they had a good season.
I mean, 9-7 and then 6-2 at home. That is nothing to kind of cry home about. That's great.
No, Mariota getting hurt definitely hurt them for this game.
Yeah, I think the outcome still would have been the same. I still think Indianapolis would have won had Marcus Mariota played, but I think it would have been a little closer than 33-17.
I agree too. I think the Colts are just playing at such a good level right now that I think Tennessee would have had to play a near perfect game.
Yeah.
And obviously when you shut down Derrick Henry on the run, you really are putting a lot of pressure on the Tennessee quarterbacks, no matter who's in there, Gabbert or Mariota.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens this weekend with the Colts because they're moving on. And another team that's moving on, we're going to go to my leap, and it was Coach Duffy's leap as well. Baltimore defeated Cleveland.
Yep.
Which I'm saying, I'm on the Baker Mayfield bandwagon. I think he is perfect for Cleveland and what they're trying to do to change the culture. But you can't take anything away from the Ravens' defense.
No, holy cow.
And for Cleveland, who almost won this, let us not forget, they came back after being down.
20 to 7 at halftime.
Yeah, 20 to 7 at halftime to lose 26 to 24 and have that final drive, which, I mean, and just, you want to talk about your drama situations.
Mm-hmm.
If they won, they were actually going to help Pittsburgh get into the playoffs.
Which, if you weren't able to see the Pittsburgh game because of where you were living, Pittsburgh game ended before the Baltimore game did. So a lot of the players didn't go back to the locker room and celebrate and rah-rah shish kumbah as they typically do. No, they stayed on the field, and then whoever was running the video board in Heinz Field smartly switched it over to the Ravens game. And I know there was one photo of two Steelers, I believe they were defensive players, kind of on one knee watching the game on the video board on the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm. And just to see the Cleveland showing the will to come back.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, Baltimore has been playing very scary and very under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you are a Ravens fan, you really have not seen what this team is fully capable of.
No.
And that defense, I'm not saying it's going to be the defense that beat the Giants in the Super Bowl way back when.
Right. This ain't the Brian Billick defense.
Right. But this defense is downright scary.
Yeah.
And when they are clicking, they're turning away the most high-powered offenses in the league.
Yeah.
You saw what they did to I almost call them San Diego. Los Angeles. You saw what they did to the Chargers a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's going to be a rematch this weekend. I don't exactly know how the outcome is going to be.
Right.
I think it's going to be a lot closer with the Chargers, but we're going to get into that at the last segment of the show. But looking at how Baker almost came back with the Browns.
Right.
You got to feel, if you're a Cleveland fan, we're not going to go to the playoffs. We're finishing 7-8-1. But look at the turnaround and how you almost want to say one guy, but you got to remember Tyrod Taylor did help them at the beginning of the season. And obviously their new GM has made a tremendous impact on that team.
Yeah.
And to see where they're going, and now Baker has embraced that city, and the team has embraced him, the city has embraced him, and they are just a team on the rise that it's almost weird to think that they might not keep Greg Williams as their coach, looking at the job that he's done.
Yeah.
And looking at if they bring in somebody else, are they going to have the same success next year?
Right.
Or are they going to take a step back? I don't know. I mean, the thing about this team is they're young.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing with a lot of chips on their shoulder.
Oh yeah. They've been hearing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, obviously the past few years in Cleveland has been nothing to talk about.
No.
But now this team shows up, and they are fun to watch.
Right, and as much as we talk about the Baltimore defense, we got to give the Cleveland defense some props here, because you look at the Baltimore team. They're on a 3-game win streak right now, and out of their last 7, they'd won 6 out of 7. They were only lost in the last 7 games was the Chiefs. So obviously, like we said at halftime, it was 20-7. Cleveland held Baltimore's offense, which has been so stellar the last couple of weeks, to 6 points for the entire second half.
Yeah, they locked in. When they shut down Lamar Jackson, who, by the way, I know we talk about Baker a lot on this show. Lamar Jackson has emerged.
Mm-hmm. Though I wouldn't sleep on him winning Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I'm saying he'll be in the discussion.
I don't think he'll get it. He'll be in that discussion.
I don't think he's going to win it, but man, I tell you what, if he makes a deep run in the playoffs, and it's fully possible, folks, he has to be mentioned in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Jackson, since he has taken over that team, I don't want to say they're one-dimensional because that's not fair, but they run the ball better than most of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say there's very few teams that do it better. But when Jackson gets running, and obviously this opens up a lot of plays for the wide receivers,
right?
He's hard to stop. And when you have that defense that can shut down teams at a drop of a dime, that's scary.
And it's hard to make an adjustment in the game. You can make game plans before the game till the sun goes down, till the cows come home, whatever analogy you want to use. It's hard to make adjustments in game for a quarterback that, when he played the Cleveland Browns, passed for 179 yards and then ran for 90.
Yeah.
That's hard to make adjustments for.
It is very hard. And it's going to be tough for any team that faces him now in the playoffs.
Yep.
Because this adds a whole different element that teams are not used to seeing.
I say this isn't the Baltimore Ravens team of the last decade or so where it's stand in the pocket and throw the pass Joe Flacco.
Mm-hmm. No, when you have to worry about a mobile quarterback who I mean, this is like what Houston has almost.
A little bit.
With Deshaun Watson.
A little bit.
Well, with Lamar Jackson, he's playing just at a different level right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're very similar in their styles.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, for when Jackson came in, and the team has really rallied around him and changed the way they go on their offensive philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
But when they start running the ball, and you're the opposing team, you're not going to see the ball that often. You have to capitalize on every possession. And when you look at how this game ended for the Browns,
right,
the Browns had a series of downs where they only needed to get, I don't know, 15 yards maybe?
Something like that.
To get into position for the game-winning field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that Ravens defense blitzed every time.
Oh, yeah, they were bringing the house.
And put pressure on. And Mayfield almost pulled it off on that fourth down.
It was like a drop one blitz everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And that one guy read Mayfield's eyes and dropped back to get that interception.
Mm-hmm.
That's just playing at such an elite level right now that I tell you what, the game of the weekend, in my opinion, is going to be Baltimore and the Chargers.
Absolutely.
I will stick to my guns because I took the Chargers to win the whole thing. But I tell you what, that's one, if I am a Chargers fan, I will be very, very nervous.
Yeah.
And if I'm a Ravens fan, the fact that I got in, I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to prove.
You got everything to gain.
You got everything to gain.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, if the Ravens beat the Chargers, depending on who they face next,
yep,
Kansas City and New England have to be very, very worried. I'm going to say it right now. I know people are going to say, oh, it doesn't matter. They got Mahomes. They got Brady. No. That defense can shut down either one of those guys given the Sunday.
And I got to admit, I mean, I'm looking at the, obviously, lowest winning seed from the AFC wildcard round will play the Chiefs. I kind of want to see it be Baltimore just for the Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson matchup. That is very, don't get me wrong, him versus Brady would also be very interesting, but not as much so as it would be Mahomes versus Lamar.
No, I agree with you. And it's going to be some exciting football if it happens.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of exciting football.
Yep.
My lock. Oh, I was fired up about this.
Yeah, he was. I was with him on Sunday. He was very fired.
Oh, to say my voice has finally come back is an understatement.
This is true.
Josh Allen is my quarterback. And boy, did he ever do a job sending Kyle Williams off into retirement as the Bills just took it to Miami, 42-17.
Whew.
And Josh Allen had a great game. Pat, you got the stats on that?
Yep, 17 completions on 26 attempts, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
And 95 on the ground for 2 touchdowns.
He had a couple runs where I know we were watching the game. He had a couple runs that you figured he'd get a couple of yards, but then he just kind of, made a cut, found a hole, and just took off. It was like, oh, wow, he's gone.
Yeah. Once they got rolling, I mean, he's very, very tough to beat because the one thing as a Bills fan I love about Allen is Allen does not give up on plays.
No.
He tries getting every extra yard he can. I am worried as a Bills fan, though, because he takes a lot of unsafe runs where he does not exactly protect himself when he's running or sliding.
No, he's making it up in the moment, not kind of thinking ahead.
Yeah, and that will make anybody very wearisome because if he gets hurt, we obviously have seen what happens, and it's just something you really don't want to see out of your quarterback when this is happening.
No.
But he had a great game, albeit, though, the only moment of the game, which I hate seeing this kind of crap in games. When this is now the second time the Bills have had a fight.
Yep.
With a team from Florida. Mm-hmm. And albeit Kiko Alonso and Robert Quinn got ejected from Miami, Jordan Mills from the Bills got ejected because there was a late hit. And, you can say frustrations, you can say whatever. But once that happened, all hell broke loose on the field.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen the video, there's one point, I believe it was like in the second or third quarter.
Third quarter,
where Josh Allen was going to slide. He took off and went to run. And then Kiko came into, if you've ever seen a spear in wrestling, Goldberg back in the day, Edge, Roman Reigns. He went to Roman Reigns spear him. And just because of the grace of, God that Allen slid in a particular way, he missed him. He hit him in the shoulder or the chest or something. He missed his head, but he would have led the crown of his head into Josh Allen's head if it went the wrong way.
Right, and the one thing too is like Allen got kicked in the head.
Yep.
In the helmet, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that did happen. Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he's. I mean, it's just like he didn't end worse, and it's like I understand emotions run high, especially a rivalry game. Like this is the one I honestly admit as a Bills fan, I circled the dates when we face Miami because I do not like the Dolphins one bit.
Right.
This is me, 100% kind of. I am not a Dolphins fan. I do not root for them. This is my rival game.
You root for two teams, Buffalo and whoever beats Miami.
Exactly. And obviously, like I keep my emotions in check. I've watched with Dolphins fans.
Sure.
We're obviously not having any fisticuffs.
Yeah, right.
But to see it happen on the field like this,
right.
I mean, this is just I don't want to say that the team is lost and it's just the frustrations are boiling over. But I mean, this was just a bad play on the defensive side of the ball of Miami. Could have gone a lot worse. The Bills retaliated accordingly, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, once this happened, the Bills just got rolling again. So it's like, what was the whole point of doing all this? Because if you look at what happened when they had their scuffle with Jacksonville, the Bills got fired up and went on a tear after that.
Right. And, I mean, with regards to the Miami side, if it was frustrations, which I haven't seen anything saying it was or it wasn't. If it was frustrations because of how the season went, I get it. I mean, you get back to and it pains me to say this, the miracle in Miami where they beat the Patriots on that last second Hail Mary touchdown. And, they're still in the playoff hunt. They're still mathematically in it. And so they're on cloud nine. They're like, hey, we can do this. We can make the playoffs. And understandably so.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go into Minnesota and you get blown out 41-17. You go to Jacksonville, which... It started the season, we're like, all right, maybe they'll win, maybe they'll lose. That was a game they should have won based off of how awful Jacksonville is. And then they go into Buffalo and they get blown out 42-17. I'm not excusing it, but if it was frustrations, I get it, but leave it at the door.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously something that just how else do you describe Miami's season? Just inconsistent.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's games that they look like they should be playoff contenders, and there's games that is like, why do they even show up?
Right. I mean, they open the season 3-game winning streak, 2-game losing streak, and then they win 1, they lose 2, win 1, lose 2, win 2, lose 3.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, Adam Gase is no longer head coach of Miami.
Yep.
A lot of rumors of who's taking over that. The best rumor I've heard is Rex Ryan is returning.
That'd be wild.
Oh, that'd be I want to see this.
Has anybody ever coached 3/4 of one division in the NFL?
For that reason. That's why I want to see it.
I don't think that's ever happened.
And then when he ultimately becomes Bill Belichick's successor. And I was just waiting on Pat to say.
No, the Vince McMahon theme song would be playing here if I could.
Oh, the reaction. I wish we had a webcam for that. But getting back to the game, though, the Bills went out in the right direction. And obviously, when you outscore your rival 28-3 in the second half, it's going to make for a great game. They sent Kyle Williams off into retirement the right way.
They sent Kyle Williams off as a listed receiver in NFL record books.
And I was so hoping when they got down to the goal line early, way back in the first quarter, that they were actually going to let him run in the touchdown.
They should have.
Yeah, I was waiting on that. This is like... That would have been absolutely perfect. I mean, in the third quarter, when LaShawn McCoy ran it in.
Right.
That's when I was waiting. I was like, okay, this would have been perfect to let him run in. And for the Bills, I mean, they got a lot of stuff for the season being 6-10, a couple hiccups here and there, and obviously the Nathan Peterman experiment did not pan out as predicted. So the Bills are still in the discussion for playoffs. Obviously, the draft is going to say a lot for where they go. And Miami, it's going to be kind of puzzling to see what they do. I think it all depends on who they get in as head coach. Is Tannehill the answer? If he's not, do you restart and go get a rookie quarterback? Is there one in the draft that's jumping? There's going to be so many moving parts going on in free agency, too. Miami can either rebound really quick and get back in this, or it's going to be a rebuilding phase. I don't have an honest answer.
Right.
And I'm trying to be very unbiased as well. I really don't know what Miami's going to do. I think it's just going to depend on who they get in as head coach. If they get in somebody that is really offensive-minded, then, maybe you're going to get in some new players and really shake up your team. If it's somebody on the defensive side of the ball, your offensive coordinator had better come up with some better schemes to figure something out. Because to compete with a team that's on the rise like the Bills, the Jets can only get better. The Patriots are the Patriots until Belichick and Brady leave.
Yep.
Miami's got to do something. But it was a hell of a way to end Week 17 of the NFL. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on the hashtag ODPH. We want to hear from you. What's your thoughts about the NFL season in general? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo!
Coming back for segment number 2 on this week's ODPH, and we have to talk about UFC 232.
Woo, boy.
Hell of a card the UFC
Yes,
decided to end 2018 with a lot of headlines coming out of the main card.
Lots of fireworks.
Absolutely. Pat, you want to give us a quick recap here?
Sure. So opening the card, you had Alexander Volkanovski defeating Chad Mendes by TKO via punches in 4 minutes and 14 seconds into the second round.
This one was, I will say this, I thought Mendes was going to have a lot better performance than he did, but definitely tip your hat to Alexander. He showed up, and I know the running joke was they kind of looked very similar.
Yes.
Physically, but I tell you what, Alexander's striking definitely slowed down Mendes' wrestling, which I was very surprised to see.
A little bit.
But obviously, that's another star on the rise in the 145 division. So obviously, Max Holloway definitely has some contenders to watch out for. Alexander's going to be a big name moving forward and continue a performance like that.
Yep. Then you had in the light heavyweight division, Corey Anderson defeating Ilir Latifi via decision, 29-28, 29-28, and 29-28.
Yeah, this one, like I said, it was either going to be Anderson striking or Latifi's wrestling, grappling that was going to get to it. And, I mean, this one was very back and forth. I mean, the scorecard pretty much says it all.
Yeah.
I mean, that one. And obviously, with Anderson, that's a huge win over Latifi. I didn't realize Latifi was 5th ranked.
Yep.
You know, obviously, I knew, but it didn't sink in.
Right.
Because, I mean, obviously, everybody else that's not named John Jones or Alexander Gustafsson right now in the 205 division is kind of overshadowed.
A little bit.
And obviously, Anderson made some noise. Obviously, it's a big win being the number 5 guy in the division. And I will say he made some, obviously impressions on the current 205 champion.
A little bit.
But we'll get to that a little later.
After that, you had in the welterweight division, Michael Chiesa defeating Carlos Condit via submission, Kimura specifically, 56 seconds into the second round.
And let me say this. Okay, this was my pick for fight of the night. I stand with it.
Okay.
I will stand with this. I will break this down very simply.
Okay.
Condit looked the best since he came back out of, if you want to call it semi-retirement or whatever.
Sure.
Obviously, he took some time off and then is coming back. He looked great.
Yeah.
He looked very, this was probably the closest I've seen to the old and, natural-born killer Condit that I used to see. Because I tell you what, Chiesa, take nothing away from him.
No.
Looked great at 170. Why haven't you done this sooner? Because you looked like you belonged in that division. And Chiesa imposed his ground game, but Condit was working off his back and nearly pulled off a couple submissions.
A little bit.
He was definitely going toe-to-toe with him, grapple for grapple, however you want to define it.
Yeah.
Condit looked great in this fight. But I take nothing away from Chiesa because when you got in that second round, and Chiesa knew get Condit off his feet because he wasn't going to win that striking match.
No.
And he pulled off a one-arm Kimura.
Yeah.
One arm.
That was insane.
Holy, I'm sitting there watching that, and Pat was here. We had a whole room full of people. The 3 Fat Nerds came over too from our friends at 607 Podcast. Everybody was just watching this and going is he pulling this off?
Right, because I know he started to get one, and we're all right, he's got one, but you kind of got to get the other one to do it. And then he ended up tapping. We're like, wait, what?
Yeah, this was just something. The technique and skill level this did. I'm truly impressed.
Yeah.
Absolutely impressed with Chiesa. And he called out Neil Magny right after the fight.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, Chiesa, like I said, he just looked like a different fighter top to bottom at 170. And he obviously has an idea where he needs to go to get a title shot at 170. If he does another performance like this against Condit, you know what? Depending on who you give him, I'd be very, very worried. And
Yeah.
if it's him and Magny for the next fight, I'm all for it. And I tell you what, that's gonna be a hell of a fight. And like I said, take nothing away from Condit. Condit looked great. This is like the first real fight that he looked back to his old self.
Yeah.
Just a better guy won that night.
Yep.
Nothing else you can say about that.
And then moving on to the co-main event, you had in the women's featherweight division. This is my fight of the night. I don't care what I don't care what anybody else says. You had champion Amanda Nunes of what division? She champion again?
She was the bantamweight champion.
She was the bantamweight champion.
Is currently.
She is the bantamweight champion. And then she faced off against Chris Cyborg, the women's featherweight champion. And surprise, surprise, surprise! Everyone on this panel who made predictions last week saying Cyborg, no way, she can lose. We were all wrong. Amanda Nunes defeated Chris Cyborg via knockout by punching her lights out with 51 seconds into the first round. I did not see this coming.
Mark this tape. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I will fully admit this. I did not see this fight going this way.
Neither did I.
In fact, I had it going the other way because I thought Cyborg was going to knock her out in under a minute.
Yeah.
I was wrong
because I didn't have necessarily the same outcome specifics wise. I thought Chris Cyborg was going to win, and I thought she was going to knock out Nunes. But I said last week, I just don't see. I said Nunes is going to be able to stand with her. She's going to be able to go with her for a while. But I just haven't seen anybody who's at Cyborg's level and caliber to really put some holes in that armor where. Like you remember John Jones was coming up, and John Jones was running through everything, and then he got to Gustafsson, and then he got to Cormier, and there were a couple in there. They're like, okay, he's beatable, it's doable. Cyborg, that hadn't happened.
Yeah, this was just one that Nunes. This fight needed to happen for one.
Yeah,
that Cyborg was running out of contenders at 145. Let's be honest about that. Nunes stepping up. I mean, I originally heard about it, and like the cool thing, I guess it kind of seemed with the UFC is. A lot of champions wanted to fight champions at another division. I mean, we have a big fight kicking off with Cejudo and Dillashaw in January.
Yep.
I mean, that's case in point. I mean, just everybody was calling out every champion. They want to be the double champ or champ, whatever the catchphrase is, I guess. Mm-hmm. For Nunes to step up, I mean, I will admit, Nunes has looked great. She sent Ronda Rousey to the WWE. Yeah. It seemed. I mean,
she retired Ronda Rousey. No word yet on Chris Cyborg. Ariel Helwani of ESPN did note on Twitter shortly after the fight was over that Cyborg's contract is up in March. So whether she extends and does some more fights there or she goes off into other ventures, who's to say? But if it goes a certain way where Cyborg no longer fights in the UFC, Amanda Nunes will have defeated and retired two of the UFC's biggest female fighters in under 5 years.
She'll be now known as the Legend Killer.
That's the thing. I know I said it Saturday night during the fight. I don't know what her nickname is. I can't remember what
Lioness.
Okay, so all due respect to her for choosing Lioness, she needs to change it to Legend Killer.
Yeah.
Because when's the last time you saw somebody? Now, obviously, there have been fighters who have defeated great fighters and Hall of Fame fighters. I don't think any of them have ever done it because that was the other thing. Showed up on my memories on my personal Facebook page that her fight with Ronda Rousey, where she beat Ronda, her being Amanda, was almost a year to the day of her beating Cyborg. So literally, within a calendar year, essentially, she defeated Ronda Rousey and Chris Cyborg.
You just take a look at Nunes' record.
Yeah.
And just the names she's defeated. And obviously taking out Cyborg, who was dominant. If you want to talk about dominant champions at their weight class, Cyborg at 145, nobody was coming near her.
And that's the thing, is she was so dominant in that division. You look at other divisions. You look at, the Conor McGregor's division. You look at John Jones. You look at, heavyweight, flyweight, whatever division you want to look at. They have a title fight and they win, or the other person wins. There's almost always a name or a handful of names that come up and go, oh, this would be good to fight him, that'd be good to fight him, this would be good to fight him. You look at Cyborg wins, and it's like, all right, yeah, you got to give us 6 months to a year because we got to find somebody willing to fight you.
Well, you have to look at this. I guess the closest comparison I can make, and I mean, obviously I might hear some static about this on the ODPH hashtag. This is like when Anderson Silva lost after being so dominant.
Yes.
At his weight class. Cyborg at her weight class, it's comparable. It's comparable. And you have to look at it that Cyborg has fought everybody that has come across her.
Yeah.
From Gina Carano back in the heyday to, whoever has stepped up since to fight. I mean, heck, they made the 145 division for women in the UFC, basically to get Cyborg in
right,
the UFC.
And if you look at her record and you notice the time gaps in fights, that's not her not wanting to fight people. No, it's just it takes them that long to find somebody.
Right, because when you have a champion that's that dominant,
and
obviously, I mean, the UFC, like I said, it was the biggest name they have in the women's featherweight division. You almost think, at least I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to say it's my opinion, I think they made the whole division to get Cyborg there and then to see what they had, because Cyborg is that good.
Yeah.
And don't take away a 51-second knockout to take anything away from Cyborg and, Cyborg is done. No. Nunes is the real deal.
Yeah.
I admit this. I was wrong. Nunes is the real deal. And Nunes is now, I know a lot of the big talk was GOAT discussion, greatest of all time. Definitely after winning, you can make an argument.
She's in the argument for greatest female fighter of all time.
You can make the argument.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But me personally, I'm not willing to say it just yet. I'm not taking anything away from her, because I will say this. If there's anything I will say now about Nunes in a big fight
she's ready.
Is ready. And Nunes will rise to the occasion, because to go in there and it's just the whole aura of Cyborg and just everything Cyborg's
she didn't
done.
care.
Didn't even bat an eye. Was so focused. And I think actually somebody that we were watching with made the comment of, Cyborg's, just was singing on the way to the cage. Yep. And I don't want to say that, after somebody pointed that out, it was kind of like when Alistair Overeem was doing that, and then he got knocked out by Francis Ngannou, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yes.
It almost had that same vibe.
Yeah.
There was just like, and it's one thing for fighters to be really just happy to fight and really in a big moment. And obviously, this is a big fight for MMA and women's MMA especially.
Yeah.
But this was just a huge fight because you finally had champions in their prime fighting each other.
Yeah.
That's the telltale story of this. I mean, this was the fight of the weekend.
Yeah, easily.
I mean, my fight of the night, yeah. But for the fight of the weekend, hands down Nunes for Cyborg.
God, yeah.
Without question. Because we get to the main event now.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at John Jones made his return against Alexander Gustafsson.
Yep.
A lot different than the first fight.
A little bit.
I will say that.
A little bit.
Pat, you got the stat?
Yep. So like we said, it was in the light heavyweight division for the vacated title. They made sure to mention that. It was John Jones who defeated Alexander Gustafsson via TKO punches, to be specific, at 2 minutes and 2 seconds into the third round.
Yeah, this one definitely went a lot different than the first fight.
Yes.
John came in very relaxed, very focused. I mean, he I didn't really show any signs of cage rust, so to speak.
First round a little bit.
First round was pretty much both fighters were kind of feeling each other out.
Okay.
And kind of, that's the vibe I got. I was sitting there watching, I'm like, okay, everybody's being very patient.
Sure.
And they're trying to see what the other one is bringing.
I kind of chalk it up to not full ring rust, but kind of partial maybe, because... And I had a discussion with common man Vince Iatoli, I believe it was the day after or 2 days after, where, I saw a little bit of ring rust where, sparring and all that kind of stuff only gets you so far as when it compares to an actual fight. And he had agreement with me. And he also mentioned that not just sparring, but then also being in front of a room of let's just say 20 people compared to a couple thousand.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that when he finally got in, and obviously, I mean, all eyes were on Jones. Mm-hmm. I mean, he became the story of the weekend.
Yeah.
So you can't take anything away from that. It was just one of those situations where John, obviously with everything going on, to see him come back to the cage, and he looked like the old John.
Yeah.
It was focused on fighting. None of this other nonsense that has been going on outside the cage, and obviously we've talked about that enough. I'm not even getting on this episode. But obviously going into the fight, the first round was, John was actually throwing something at Gustafsson I didn't think Gustafsson was really focused on. John was throwing a lot of takedowns at him.
This is true.
And then when John's got into the second round, that's when his leg kicks were going after Gustafsson's left knee.
Yeah.
That's when Gustafsson was really having some problems. And when you saw that Gustafsson couldn't plant and was having problems with that, you could definitely see the fight was, going in Bones' way. And
then, there was one point in the second round where I believe it was either Joe Rogan or Dominic Cruz pointed out that Gustafsson couldn't put weight on his left leg. And it's like that thing you see in sports. Oh, such and such hasn't happened in X number of minutes. Almost immediately happens. They mentioned it, and not 5 seconds later, Jones kicks him in the left leg.
Yeah, and it made a lot of sense. I mean, that was probably the best game plan he could have done. And then when we went to the third round, I mean, Gustafsson couldn't put any pressure on his leg, and then John got the takedown. And then as soon as he got the legs locked around him, he was just raining punches, and it was a wrap after that.
Yep.
And now Jones is back being the light heavyweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he does is call out Daniel Cormier.
Which I was a little surprised by this.
I was and I wasn't.
I was a little surprised because people have asked him about it, and he's done interviews, oh, would you want to fight Daniel Cormier again? And he's kind of maintained, no. What do I need to do? I've beaten him twice. Why should I fight him a third time?
I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me for that aspect, but John made a point, and I don't want to say it was WWE style, because I don't think that's the right terminology to describe it. But he laid out the scenario very well.
Mm-hmm.
I was never beat for my title. Cormier held it for me.
That's true.
He's not a real champ, as the catchphrase was going to be that night.
I like that phrase.
Yeah, it's.
I'm not going to call them double champs or 2 division champs. No, it's champ.
Champ. He said, you got to come down to my division. Daddy's home.
Mm-hmm.
And
the thing of it is, though, is I remember watching that, and Rogan kind of, I don't want to say Rogan leaded him a little bit, but he leaded him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There was if you can find that interview online, after the fight, there's a pause there. Jones was really thinking how he wanted to go with this, because I don't think he was expecting it, and I don't think he really wanted to go this route in that per se. But I mean, he obviously he knows what he's doing. He's no idiot. He's been at this long enough. He took the advantage of the moment.
Well, I think if you're Jones, this is a big fight. I know that the rumor of a Cormier-Brock Lesnar fight has cooled off lately.
A little bit.
From what we're hearing. A lot of rumors going around about that. Nothing concrete to really kind of say yes or no about. And it makes sense for John if you really want to have a big storyline, and if this is something that's really been eating at him, to prove that he is better than Cormier, to do it. Sure, Cormier got on Twitter. You can follow the tweets, and he has responded. And I mean, there's definitely some
typical Cormier fashion.
Yes, which. I mean, Cormier has legit points he makes in there too. So I mean, it's very back and forth, and I think for the UFC, this is a win.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God. Yeah.
And I think because this is them going to ESPN and ESPN Plus. This is something to generate a lot of buzz for the new transition from Fox.
Right.
And this is a storyline with 2 very big stars, and I'm not as excited for it. And like I said on last week's show, I'd much rather see Jones versus Lesnar.
Yeah.
Or, obviously, depending on what happens between Francis Ngannou and Cain Velasquez, I have been talking about Jones versus Velasquez for a long time.
Ooh, that'd be good.
If John really wants to do the heavyweight thing.
That'd be a big fight.
Yeah, because for Cormier to cut to 205... I don't know. Like at this stage, Cormier keeps saying that he's ready to retire in March, April. He's got one more fight left. I know anything could happen. I mean, it's not like his skill set is diminished where he should be retired. Not even close. But if Cormier is sold that he wants to do one more fight and then do something else, sure. Does it make sense for him to fight Lesnar again? Jones?
I don't think so.
I don't see it.
No.
I mean, you've already done enough. You're king of the heavyweights. You are a 2-division champ. Let's not beat around the bush. Obviously, he won the title. He defended the title. What else do you need to do? Obviously, there was reasons you didn't beat Jones for it, and you didn't have another match against Jones for the title. Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Point is, Cormier beat Stipe Miocic. He's the heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
If anything, if I'm Cormier, I'm saying, why don't you come up to heavyweight and fight me?
Right.
Why do I need to do an extensive weight cut to get to 205 where, to do a weight cut like that, I think is so draining.
Yeah.
That, obviously he's used to doing it with his wrestling background. But for me, I don't see the point. Like, why do you need to say you're the greatest light heavyweight champion of all time?
Right, yeah.
You did the super fight. You stepped up. If anything, I'd say come up to my division. But it's going to be something to see. But now, obviously, the big asterisk in the room is going to be, is John, did it the right way? Mm-hmm. Is there anything that's going to be haunting over the shadow of the fight?
Yep.
I mean, and I hate saying that. I absolutely loathe saying that.
Right, but he's proven time and again, you give the man a chance, and he blows it.
Yeah. This time, it's like, this is the last strike.
Yeah.
You can't blow this.
No.
Because especially now, you've now called out somebody.
Yep.
If this fight should happen, whether it's at 205 or heavyweight, this is arguably going to be one of the biggest fights in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
Arguably one of them. I mean, there's a lot of talk that they're trying to do a Conor Khabib rematch for some unknown reason. That would be up there too.
Yeah.
But for Jones, you just got back in. You're the light heavyweight champion again. You're the king of the 205s. You've got challengers that you were even saying, Corey Anderson, if he wants to fight there, that could happen. Anthony Smith, he called out on the post show. There was kind of a little.
Sure.
I saw the interview. I don't think it was as verbally calling somebody out as much as it was described as.
Right.
In my opinion,
might have just been spitballing.
It was something just getting a temp in the room, I think, and I think it's just a lot of emotions after the fight.
Right.
Either way, John has some contenders at 205 if he wants to stay there, or does he want to go up to heavyweight now? I mean, that's another discussion he's got to have. Either way. He's got a lot of options if he can just stay on the right path. And obviously, the one thing I don't want to hear is we have another suspension coming up. If we do, I don't want to hear about another comeback. It's like you've now been given X amount of chances. This has to be the right one because you're never going to have another chance to have another fight against a Cormier.
Yep.
If this happens.
Yep.
And the storyline that's already built there, and now there's the buzz going with that. This is the moment you have to embrace it. And definitely UFC 232 lived up to the hype. Amanda Nunes, amazing performance. I think, in my opinion, that overshadows anything I'm talking about with John Jones.
Well, oh, yeah.
Like, honestly, like I'd say that was the real main event that night. But let us know what you think. Hit us up on that hashtag, ODPH. What's your thoughts about UFC 232 moving forward? What do you think is the next fights for Amanda Nunes and John Jones? We want to know. Hit us up on that hashtag. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's a heartbreak, soul-shake radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward, no steps back.
Hey, this is Vince the Common Man Ciatoy, local MMA fighter, telling you to keep on listening to the ODPH, the 607's up-and-coming newest podcast.
We knew right where we'd be, floating on the airwaves, you see. It's a heartbreak, soul-shake radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward and no steps back. We knew right where we'd be.
Coming back for the final segment on this week's ODPH, and it's a new year, but we still started off the same way. Pad, kick us off with that local minute.
Of course, going to talk a little Binghamton Devils news. Looking at their games last week since we recorded, they lost a home game on the 26th against the Syracuse Crunch, 6-3. They won a game when they traveled up to Utica to play the Comets, 1-0. Saturday, the 29th, they traveled up to Bellevue to play the Senators and lost 2-3. Then on New Year's Eve, they were at home to play the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Penguins, which they ended up losing 5-2 in a heartbreaker. Switching over to the games they got coming this week, they've got 2 home games this week. Friday, January 4th, 7:05 start time against the Toronto Marlies. And then Saturday at 7:05, they've got a game against the Sound Tigers. More information, binghamtondevils.com.
And the Binghamton Bulldogs will be returning to action this weekend. They're going to be traveling to Scranton on Saturday, January 5th. And then they come home to the Dog Pound 2.0 January 12th against Rock City. More information about that, binghamtonbulldogs.com, and you can find out about the new players that have joined the Bulldogs, Charles Funchins and Brandon Alexander. So some new faces are joining up with the Bulldogs. So definitely it's going to be a fun time catching them in the new year in 2019. Now, Coach Duffy is not here, but we have to mention the National Championship Playoff Series. College football is going on. Big games this week.
Yeah, there were.
And you know what? They lived up to the hype. I'm sorry for Coach Duffy that his beloved Notre Dame Fighting Irish did not make it past Clemson. Clemson was winning, or won rather, should I say, 30-3.
Yep.
And Obviously, Clemson had a big day, but they're now going to be facing Alabama, who definitely had a high-scoring affair against Oklahoma.
I'd say 45-34 for the final score. Their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, and I apologize if I butchered that name, 24 of 27, 318 yards, 4 touchdowns. The man had more touchdowns than he had incompletions.
Kyler Murray from Oklahoma, though, he had a great game, too. 308 on throwing and 2 touchdowns in the loss. I mean, Alabama is just Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Saban has built a monster program.
I feel like monster isn't even the right word for it. Like, it's some word that like doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, it's just something that you have to play perfect against them, and you just need a lot of luck on your side, too.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, Oklahoma definitely was up to the task, but they just fell short. Clemson obviously is going to give them a good run.
Yeah, I'd say good game from them. 30, as we mentioned, 30-3 was the final score. Trevor Lawrence had a good game, 27 of 39, 327 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, so they're going to show up for that game, but I think it's going to be Alabama's to lose on January 7th.
Let's say if you're curious, the line is currently, as we record, Alabama by 6, and the over-under is 59.5. I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I would take the over, too.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're not doing locks and leaps on this one, even though Pat is the champion of 2018.
Yeah, I am.
But I would say I like Alabama in that one, and I like them big. I think that they're going to make a statement win against Clemson. Clemson's going to hang with them, but
I think it'll be close for maybe the first 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters, and then Alabama will be like, oh, right, we're Alabama. Gas pedal.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if we can get Coach Duffy to do a college football playoff blog before the national championship game on January 7th. ESPN will be airing it, so 8 p.m., stay tuned for that if you're interested to see how that plays out, because that's going to be a sole storyline in itself, but nothing compares to the fallout from the final games of the NFL. Now, we alluded to it in their Locks and Leap recap segment, but man, the drama just happened.
Oh, yeah.
Right after that. Pat, you want to give us a little tip?
Yeah, so obviously there's going to be a little bit of drama after the regular season wraps up in the NFL. Head coaching vacancies, coordinator vacancies. That's to be expected, though. Never forget the 1 year Eric Mangini was fired from the Cleveland Browns job, and everyone found out about it while Adam Schefter was live on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
That was wild. So, I mean, looking at some of the head coaching vacancies, there's a head coaching vacancies in Arizona, Cincinnati. Marvin Lewis is gone. Denver, you have a head coaching vacancy. The Jets obviously let Todd Bowles go after they lost to the New England Patriots. And then you've got a head coaching vacancy down in Tampa Bay.
It just seemed really wild of how, like, quickly after the season, everybody was just cutting ties. We mentioned about Miami. Adam Gase is no longer there, too. And just to see, like, some of the names getting, teams and names that were getting thrown in the mix.
Yeah.
Is just kind of crazy, because I know everybody's watching where Mike McCarthy ends up next year. Honestly, I don't have a prediction where he's going to sign.
I think he takes a year off.
I mean, you would understand if he did.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for so long. It's like I could definitely see him doing some commentating, being on one of the pregame shows.
Sure.
I could definitely see that, but you never know. Somebody like him, I could definitely see also want to get right back into the mix of things.
Yeah.
I was hearing some wild rumors that if the Minnesota job opened up for whatever reason, because obviously their season did not end on the right foot.
No.
His name would be in that mix, and
that'd be amazing.
I just say, if you want storylines and drama, I don't even know if I'd be able to like mentally comprehend that.
That'd be amazing.
I could hear like a text message coming from Brian Wolf in Fair City Fire, like screaming, "Stop that nonsense right now!" Like he would. Every Packer fan I know would go ballistic. This would be like when Brett Favre suited up for the Vikings.
They were not happy about that.
I don't even understand. Like I could not even handle that.
No.
If I was a Packer fan, you see your head coach after how many years and on the other
won him a Super Bowl.
Yeah, won him a Super Bowl on the other side of the sidelines. That kind of drama you just don't even want to deal with.
Yeah.
And obviously it's going to be interesting to see where the coaches end up. And since we're talking about drama too,
holy cow,
there's a big story that broke this weekend.
Yeah, so as we were watching the games, it became very apparent early on Saturday that Antonio Brown was not going to be playing for Pittsburgh in their crucial game against I forget where they're
Cincinnati.
Playing. Thank you, Cincinnati, which is big for them because Antonio is so complimentary to their other receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster, and vice versa. I mean, they've both had phenomenal years, but that's because, you double cover Juju, Antonio's open, double cover Antonio, Juju's open. It's just one of those things. So it came out that it came out early that at one point, or after the game, I should say, that Antonio had left the game on Sunday early. Like, it wasn't like, oh, hey, we're done. All right, see you later. I'll come clean my locker out on Monday. No, he left at like either it was like halftime or the third quarter or something like that. And then you come to find out that he's requested a trade, he's asked for a trade, but according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, quote, my understanding of the situation surrounding Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown, as he exited the field in frustration on Wednesday, he yelled, quote, I'm done. Then wondered why they don't trade him. More venting and anger than anything, he has not made any actual trade request officially. Keyword officially.
You know, this season, I have to just say, is very un-Steeler-like on so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
When have you ever seen, okay, one, the whole Le'Veon Bell situation.
Right.
And then two, you have Antonio Brown's, I mean, granted, he's venting his frustration. And obviously this year, there's just been a lot of just, like I say, un-Steeler-like behavior.
Right.
And stories coming out that you never hear about this kind of drama with the Steelers.
Right, it's unheard of.
Yeah, this is like unheard of. And to sit here and hear, okay, Antonio Brown wants out after how many years of being successful in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, okay, the season did not mean playoffs this year.
No.
The tie that came back to haunt them played a big factor.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, that just kind of sums up how the season went. I mean, I don't want to say disappointing because, I mean, that's not the right word I'm looking for.
Right.
But perplexing.
Yeah.
Because you have the drama that's going on. And this is just like I say, you don't hear about this with the Steelers. And, and just to hear, like, he wants to be traded. And it was funny because all of a sudden you start hearing about the San Francisco 49ers. There's players tweeting about that. And if you pair him.
I mean, Jamal Adams of the New York Jets tweeted, yo, and this is from his Twitter account, at the Adams era, yo, at AB84, NYC will appreciate you. Hashtag Jets.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he left Pittsburgh, hypothetically, I mean, he almost makes a team an instant contender.
Oh, yeah, because the thing of it is I mentioned, and that really hurts Pittsburgh because they're losing Le'Veon. They're not getting Le'Veon back under any circumstances whatsoever. They're going to lose Le'Veon. They're potentially going to lose Antonio Brown, who is arguably, if not the best wide receiver in the National Football League, who had a great year. Yes, Juju Smith-Schuster had a great year, as I mentioned before. 111 catches for 1,426 yards and 7 touchdowns. But he doesn't have that year if Antonio Brown's not there, because all of a sudden, if you got two deep threats, two great wide receivers who can really just run streaks and catch deep balls from Ben, if one of those deep threats is gone and you don't got to worry about, because that was the thing they kept bringing up in the Pittsburgh New England game was, who do you double cover? If one of those double cover threats is gone and you only got to worry about one, you're not going to have that great of a year. You're going to have a good year, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to put up 111 catches for almost 1,500 yards.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mind-blowing to hear about this kind of nonsense coming from that camp. Like I just say, with the Steelers, you don't hear about this drama. And then, like I say, if Antonio Brown goes, and then no matter where he goes, it could be like a rebuilding team that might be waiting for a Tua to come out in the draft, or a Kyler Murray if he decides to declare for the draft. Not saying next year, but the year down.
Yeah.
If there's a team that's on the rise to rebuild, Antonio Brown would be a very enticing piece to add to their team. I don't see him leaving Pittsburgh, because I think the Steelers would ask for a king's ransom and then some.
Yeah.
As they rightfully should.
Yeah. A lot of first-round draft picks.
They're already going to be getting rid of Le'Veon Bell, but obviously James Conner has emerged as a superstar.
Yeah.
So the Steelers will be all right, but just to hear like how their season went from, traditional Steeler football to, more drama than you can handle. I mean, it's just disappointing and perplexing.
Do you think to a certain degree Tomlin's lost the locker room? Because you go from traditionally Pittsburgh, you hear is in the same class as like New England, where you don't hear anything coming out of that locker room. You don't know any issues, any strife, any beef going on in that locker room. To now you got your running back sitting out there tweeting at home. Now you got your star wide receiver, your best wide receiver in a number of years, walking out on you.
It's a good question. It's a very good question. And I think you just have to look at the tenure. He's been there so long. You almost wonder when like the success is just becomes, every day. and just like, what is there to inspire the team to rally around? And it's nothing against him. He's done a phenomenal job in Pittsburgh, without question. Like, hypothetically saying, when he leaves, if he leaves, he'll be signed within the first
seconds.
Week. Yeah. I think maybe for some of the veterans in that locker room that have been with him for so long, it's maybe the message isn't connecting with him. Maybe the motivation isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say he's fully lost it yet, because I think if they did, they wouldn't have hung in as well as they did to the end of the season. But like I say, you got to start asking those questions now. Your star running back wanted out.
Mm-hmm.
Your star wide receiver is complaining very vocally, whether it's frustration or he really wants out. This is something that the veterans in that locker room really got to take a hold of.
And there's also a supposed quote-unquote press conference coming soon. I know James Harrison posted on his Instagram story he was hanging out with Antonio Brown and said something, a quote-unquote press conference was coming. Nobody knows quite what it is or when it's going to be, but it's well known that James Harrison is not a big Mike Tomlin fan, so that's going to be something to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean...
It's just wild to see that, like, yes, Pittsburgh has had their struggles in the past. They've had losses, they've had this, but you never heard anything to this degree of internal strife.
Never. And it's perplexing. Like I said, that I know I'm just using that word because I don't want to say sad, because it truly is just disheartening. I guess that's another word I can use. But that's going to be the off-season story to watch, is the Steelers.
Absolutely.
And I never thought I'd ever say that.
It's an implosion of unexpected proportions.
The only thing more crazy would be if that was the Patriots.
That would be.
Yeah. Hands down.
And we're not talking any of this trainer nonsense from the last couple of years. No, like if Belichick and Brady had, and like Edelman and all started having a fallout type of deal.
Yeah, it would just be wild to see. And obviously, we're going to keep our ears definitely glued for any news breaking about this going into the offseason. But there still is some playoff football going on. Now,
there is.
I know we don't have locks and leaps officially for the Invitational. The Invitational will be back in 2019. But for the locks and leaps for this week, Coach Duffy actually chimed in, and he's gave his picks, obviously, before the Notre Dame game, because obviously that was going to be dominating everything. He's all in on the Bears, Seahawks. His leap is the Chargers, and he's saying huge upset, and the Texans.
Interesting.
So, Pat, you got a lock and leap for us to close out this show.
Absolutely. I'm going to start with my lock. I'm going to look at the Philadelphia Eagles-Chicago Bears game. As we record, Chicago is a 6-point favorite in that one. All due respect to the defending champs. You know what? No due respect to the defending champs. Sore Patriots fan here. Bears are going to steamroll Philly. Steamroll them big. And then I'm going to look at my leap. I'm going to look at the first game of the wild card weekend docket, if you will. It's going to be Saturday, 4:35 on ESPN. The Colts and the Houston Texans. Currently, Houston is a 1.5-point favorite. I think Andrew Luck and company, being on the big roll that they are, the big steamroll, if you will, if they were going on, I think they're going to come in and pull that one out.
My lock, I got to agree with you about the Bears. I think the Bears are absolutely going to run right through the Eagles.
I'll say, because it's as I said before when I chose the Bears before. Is Khalil Mack still on the defense for the Chicago Bears?
Yep.
Enough said.
That's the sole X factor that's going to sway everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, Trubisky, as long as he doesn't make too many mistakes, they should be fine, because Khalil Mack and that defense will carry them through this weekend.
I'll say the interesting thing about this Bears-Eagles game that I know that was Howie Long on NFL on Fox was getting hounded about. His two sons are playing in this game.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a real interesting weekend in the Long household.
That's going to be surreal to watch.
Uh-huh.
Game of the week is going to be Chargers and Ravens, and obviously that one is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it is.
But obviously everybody knows I took the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl, so I'm not even going to say that's a lock or leap. I'm going to go with my leap and big.
Okay.
Seattle over the Cowboys.
That's a big leap.
I'm saying a 10-point win.
Whoa!
I'm going to drop that on him.
Whoa!
12th man, where are you at?
I'll say, if this doesn't happen, there's a certain someone we know you're going to have to answer some questions to.
Nostradamus will probably chime in.
Uh-huh.
And I'm expecting him to light up on Twitter about that as well. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What's your picks for this weekend, the wild card action of the NFL? We want to know. That's all we got for this week. So for Padawan J,
Champ is here.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH. We'll see you next time.